Lizzy Williamson, Tiara Bolden, and head coach Scott Rueck. Scott, you're opening statement.
Yeah. Well, what a game. What a game. I mean, give Loyola a ton of credit. Erica's done a great job. Followed her for a long time since she was at Southridge High School, back in the day. And so I'm really happy for her. Coached against her, of course, when she was at USC. And then, we've had just some really enjoyable conversations over the years out on the recruiting trail. And, that she's like, I'm a young coach, and trying to get wisdom as if I have any that she probably doesn't have. I don't know. But we've had a fun relationship in that way, and it's fun to watch her, grow their program. And it's a gritty, tough team, and they played that way today and made big shots. I loved our team. I thought we fought like crazy today. I thought they out-rebounded us down at their place, and I didn't feel like we matched their physicality today. I felt like we did. And I love the way that we fought kind of uphill in the first half is what it felt like. Just couldn't get – it seemed like everything was going wrong. Like everything was just super hard in that first half. And we were fighting a lot of forces, it felt like. And then second half, I thought we got control, played great. Then they took control in the fourth, and then we fought like crazy back. Ken made 2 big buckets. And I thought the will to win was just, so evident from both teams. Both teams wanted this game so badly. And then it came down to one huge shot, and they hit it. And so, congrats to them. For our seniors, what a special way. Not obviously we want to win, but it was a special day in Gill today. It was a great crowd. Ron Callan spoiled us once again with, 3 unique national anthems that none of us have ever heard. Well, I guess we've heard the Australian before, but I thought it was like the classiest thing ever. It was so neat to see smiles on, Lizzy and Nene and Sue's faces as their anthems are being played. Then it was a celebration of all the effort that so many people have put in this program over the years. And so, you certainly want to close it out a day like this with a win, but at least everybody got an epic game, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And so on to the next. This segment's done. The next segment is in Vegas.
Who wants to go first?
Scott, if you could walk us through the final 2 possessions offensively, the inbounds to Jenna, what was the draw up there? I would think not to get the ball in the corner, but walk us through just what was the draw up there on offense, and then defensively, how does a 40% three-point shooter get that clean a look with the game on the line?
Yeah, we were up 1. Yeah, so there were lots of options for them. You kind of got to pick your poison with those guys. I haven't watched it yet, to see exactly. I know what play it was because it's one of their plays. We've scouted it. You kind of, are they going to go to Hernandez inside and try to draw a foul? And the way the game was called in that overtime, they drew 2. One time Hernandez ran Jenna over without a call, and then, T gets run into, and it's a foul on T and 1. So you couldn't trust the whistle in this game for sure. And so then it's kind of like picking your poison, Obviously, we didn't want to give up any open threes, and so, but they were 3 of 16 before that, from 3. And so, I don't know. As far as Jenna getting the ball, if you're not throwing it towards that direction, you're throwing it towards their basket. So there's lots of ways. There's only certain options. They put 5 in front of the ball. She's long. I think Jenna felt as though she had an escape because her defender, we assumed they'd trap without fouling. That was kind of, she'd probably be in a trap. And so I think she felt like she could escape and, just lost the ball. And so it's just one of those plays. But going to T or Jenna is just like Loyola going to Hernandez, or Matic.
Yeah, Scott, how did the turnovers affect the game with you guys had 22 to their 14, and then you guys had travels early on, and then you had 3 in the keys early on?
Yeah. I need to go back and watch that. Loyola's pressure speeds you up, no question. So you got to give them a ton of credit for that. But I'm like, have we traveled this much this month, let alone one quarter? Like, you got to be joking me. Are these really traveled? Like, I need to go back and watch. You know, I'm like, if you have to tell me as an official how she traveled, because none of us actually know, then did she? You know, and this year, you know, they start off the year by telling us, you know, we're just not going to call traveling. It's not a point of emphasis anymore. And so that was very confusing to me. The 3 seconds in the key, our staff told me one was and one certainly wasn't. And so I got to watch that too. So I don't know. At their place, we got called for 3 seconds when it was at 2. You know, so maybe it's just Loyola's year. You know, Eric is obviously a great representative of the West Coast Conference.
And then how do you think like the officials just like overall impacted the game?
Officials impact every game. They play a huge role. The other night, we play a free-flowing game with hardly any whistles. Tonight, you could feel there was going to be a heavy officiating presence in this game. And so then you're just kind of at the mercy of it, you know? So I never know. None of us ever know. It's whatever they want it to be. You know, people ask me afterwards, was that an illegal screen? I'm like, it depends. On the video, yes. Tonight, I don't know. You're just hanging on, you know, trying to adapt as the game goes. But we had a couple of very veteran officials, and then one of the officials I just met her tonight, you know, which is interesting this time of the year on a game of this magnitude. So it's beyond me.
Tiara, you were part of the team that last year that went on a run at the West Coast Conference Tournament. Where do you think this year's team is at going into the tournament based on your experience of last year, and where do you see you guys?
I mean, I definitely see us in kind of the same position as where we were last year. Like, yes, we won the WCC, and beforehand, people didn't expect us to. And now, I believe everything happens for a reason. There's a bunch of lessons that we are learning along the way. However, anything can happen in March, and I still am very optimistic of what's to come.
You were obviously very emotional during the pregame ceremony. You live right down the road, but your journey took a little while to wind up here. What were you thinking about as that ceremony was going on, and what your 2 years at Oregon State have meant to you?
I was just so thankful for the opportunities that the coaches gave me along with Beaver Nation, and just the fact that I was able to finish my collegiate career where I first fell in love with the sport. It was very impactful, and just the fact that the whole full circle moment thing just kind of happened. So I was just more grateful more than anything.
We all are.
For each of you, first, Scott, were you aware of the Santa Clara score in-game? Like, were you aware of that as the
No.
game was going on? Okay. For it to end this way and that you're to get the 4th seed, just each of your reactions to this outcome now leading to the 4 as opposed to the 3?
Beyond our control. One of the interesting things is I think like Loyola went in, puts them at 1, and us at 4. If we would have won, we would have been 3, they would have been 2. You know, so I don't really think it changes a whole lot, just maybe game times but I don't know. I guess experience has just taught me not to put too much energy, you know, on those things that we can't control. And because I have, you know, you go through every scenario, you're trying to, you know, control the world. And then you realize that you're not controlling anything other than you're just wasting your time and energy and focused on maybe things that you can't control. So anyway, the 4 was good to us last year.
Yeah, Scott. So Jess Lawson had 20 rebounds, and she plays as a guard. So how does that happen on the court?
Huge heart, man. She is just a baller. I mean, she is tough. I love the energy she plays with. You know, she's a lot like Kennedy. You know, a guard similar size. I think Ken's a little bit bigger. But they just impact the game in every aspect, you know. So 16 rebounds against us down there. You said 21 here. That's incredible, you know. And so her mid-range is so good. You know, she plays angles defensively so well, and And so she's a huge part of why they're doing what they're doing. You know, her will to win is immense.
And then once again, like Gil had, like all the alumni were out tonight. We had people who are season ticket holders for over 20 plus years that came out to the game tonight. So how does that affect your team?
You guys can talk about that.
Lizzy, you got it.
I mean, obviously, I think Scott already said it. It was just an amazing atmosphere in there. Obviously, it didn't go our way the way we wanted it to go, but I was still had a smile on my face after the game. All the fans coming out and just showing out for us and showing us their support and appreciation, and we just appreciate them so much. It really makes it special. It was a great last game to have, even though it might not have gone our way.
All good? All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Go Beavs.
Leaves.